That's right. For former President Donald Trump, and I'm here with Jeff Landry, the Attorney General of Louisiana, and also the former special counselor to former President Donald Trump, Kellyanne Conway. Thank you so much for being here with us. We'll start with you, Kellyanne. Can you tell me a little bit about this film, this documentary? And I know you both star in the film, so tell me a little bit about it.
Thanks for having me. It's a phenomenal 42-minute documentary that exposes exactly what was happening in the 2020 elections. I think the fix was in early on in terms of the Mark Zuckerberg money going predominantly to Democratic districts or places where the Democrats would be able to use those significant funds to gin up their turnout and excitement. This is particularly important because we had a once-in-a-century pandemic. So I think everyone recognized that there would be a different way of voting. But we had more people voting in more ways over more time than ever before. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you've got the 400 million plus of Zuck bucks, you're able to go door to door. You're able to fund these local precincts and make sure that the vote is turned out there. So it was disproportionately funded. And I got to tell you, as Trump's campaign manager in his victory in 2016, Facebook was great to us, meaning they got out of our way. We were able to buy a huge number, a high number of Facebook ads, and that's the democratization of information. Donald Trump saying, let's go digital, let's go not just all TV. We didn't have the money or the moxie to do that, really. We wanted to go where people were. But I think Zuckerberg got a lot of heat from his colleagues and, quote, friends after that, saying, you helped Donald Trump get elected. He's going to make sure it didn't happen again in 2020. And the net result of that was putting the thumb on the scale just by working with Democratic operatives like David Plouffe, very smart guy who helped Senator Obama get elected president in 2008, knowing where to deploy those resources and how to make a difference. And they were predominantly active in Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin. 3 states that Donald Trump won in 2016, where he didn't prevail in 2020. And if you just look at the facts and figures in this documentary, it's chilling.
And Attorney General, can you tell me a little bit about the legality of that? Can you tell me a little bit about, the grants and the money going to those nonprofits?
Yeah, look, I think that in many states, this type of donation by an oligarch like Mark Zuckerberg is actually illegal. We don't need corporate money or private money infecting our election system. That is supposed to be sacrosanct to our republic and to the election system. And what happens is it creates a corrosive effect. Remember, that's what we have parties for, right? Republican and Democratic parties. They're supposed to go out there and entice people to go vote. It's not the government's job to entice people to go vote. It's the government's job to perform an election in a transparent method. But what Mark Zuckerberg did was he injected money. He disenfranchised voters, irrespective if they were minorities or not, in rural and poorer areas around the country in order to turn up and gin up votes inside of urban areas in swing states. And here's the key part. He did it with the government. He didn't do it by giving $400 million to the Democratic National Committee. He did it by giving that money directly to our government and infecting that election system. And in Louisiana, before the November election, we filed suit. And just last week, we had an appellate court, a circuit court, the Third Circuit in Louisiana, in a 3-0 panel basically said, it's time to go to trial and once and for all put to bed that this money is illegal in Louisiana.
And I want to read you both a statement that we got from the spokesperson of Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Shan. So he says, this film, of which we've only seen 2 minutes so far, appears to feature the same people advancing the same claims that have been debunked by multiple federal and state courts and respected news organizations, only this time set to dramatic music. What is your take on that?
Well, that's not true of me. I have no exposure in that regard, and I think that this documentary should make people who sort of kind of feel that something just wasn't right look at this through an entirely different lens and with an entirely different perspective. And so instead of attacking the messenger, instead of attacking the people who are in the documentary or who are here tonight supporting the documentary, I would challenge Mark Zuckerberg himself and Priscilla Chan, his wife, and everybody at his 2 nonprofits who wash the money through, and this spokesperson. I would challenge them to watch the documentary and tell us what's wrong with it. What facts are wrong? Because the evidence is there, the receipts are there. And look, this is America. If you want to support someone, if I want to support someone, we have every right to do that. But you have to do it legally and transparently. And again, I want to go back to 2016. It's incredibly important because at the Trump campaign in 2016, as opposed to his 2020 campaign, we were under-resourced, understaffed, underestimated, underdog. So when Facebook said to us, here's a ecumenical, nonpartisan platform on which you can run ads much more cheaply than you can on network TV or cable TV where Hillary was, and we'll give you an embed, we'll give you a staffer on your campaign to help you navigate this digital footprint. We were like, great, one more staffer, terrific. Fast forward, that was not going to happen again because the deal, the implicit deal, the unspoken deal in 2016 was, we're going to do this for you and offer it to Hillary, who didn't accept it quite the way we did. But Donald Trump is not supposed to win. And of course he won. And that changed the whole Trump derangement syndrome crowd. Went crazy. By the way, still go crazy. Do you have a Twitter feed? They're still nuts. And so I would challenge that person to tell us what's factually incorrect about where that money went and why.
Mr. Landry,
yeah, I agree with Kellyanne. And also, it's important to remember in 2016, Facebook made a lot of money off of Donald Trump, right? So the ability for Mark Zuckerberg and his wife to give that money was based upon the money that they made by allowing his platform to be open. But what I would challenge him to do is I would challenge him to read the special counsel in Wisconsin's 150-page report that I read. I would challenge him to read the opinion that just came out of the Third Circuit in Louisiana and come down to Louisiana and tell me why he thinks that those facts are incorrect.
And we know that many states across our nation are, passing different election security laws. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what do you hope is accomplished with that?
Well, that's the thing. After 2020, you do see a lot of reactive legislation where people say, well, whatever this is, can never happen again. We had a once-in-a-century pandemic. It compelled very different voting measures. However, was there a reason or an excuse? I think that lots of good-natured people were using it as a reason, but so many more people were using the once-in-a-century pandemic, this virus, as an excuse to look at Pennsylvania. They're keeping open who can vote and how long. Oh, we think people are confused, said the election officials who were officially elected to absolutely nothing. We think people are confused. We'll just accept their ballots a little longer. And there were shenanigans happening over time and late in the game that were hard to see in real time. So you see these legislatures saying, you know what, let's make sure that to the extent this happened, it can't happen again. And you see many of those legislators and governors who were funded by Zuckerberg saying, oh no, we have to go against that.
Well, look, I think you've seen polls. There was an ABC poll that was put out that showed that a cross-section of Americans believe that our election system is broken, right? That they've lost faith in that election system. And this is exactly why. When a person like Mark Zuckerberg can stroke a check and then inject that money directly into the government, that is problematic. I mean, think about it. That really hasn't happened since the days of the big oligarchs back in when you had Standard Oil and J.P. Morgan, right, and Rockefeller. And guess what? After they did it, the American people, there was a change. And I think it's what you're seeing in states is that they're starting to sow those. They're tightening up their election systems, and they're saying, we don't want that. We want people to be able to compete in the ideas and democracies and the platforms that they're running on. And we want to know that when we go vote, our vote is counted.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So there you heard it. Kellyanne Conway and Jeff Landry here at Mar-a-Lago, and soon we'll have former President Donald Trump speak to the crowd. Back to you.
Okay. Leo Feldman, very interesting film, obviously, in a very big packed room there. The president going to speak tonight at Mar-a-Lago in beautiful South Florida and Palm Beach. Leo, thank you so much. We appreciate it. After the premiere